On today's episode of the podcast, I wanted to make it really clear and simple to understand those common symptoms that you're getting from your period and what to do about it. So if you're noticing that you have heavy periods, light periods, clots, brown spotting before your period comes, pain or PMS and PMDD, listen to this episode and share it with a woman in your life that may be experiencing it too. Let's get into the episode. If you've ever felt dismissed, confused, or stuck in the space between symptoms and answers, you're not alone. This is What's My Body Telling Me? With me, Dr. Anthea Todd, the podcast where we believe your body isn't the problem, it's the solution. Together, we'll explore how to understand the messages your body sends through symptoms, how to support yourself through every stage of life, and why functional health, medicine, and energetics are all key to understanding and supporting your body. Here, we let feeling good become the baseline because life's too short to feel anything but alive. So, are you ready to start listening differently? Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you this week, I was listening back to the last solo episode that I did, which was amazing. But what I want to do is really give you a punchy, bite-sized 10-minute episode that you can come back to and you can share easily with a woman in your life to help you understand really quickly, really simply what your period is telling you and what to do about it. But not necessarily in a prescriptive manner, like, oh, you've got a painful period, have magnesium, have an anti-inflammatory. It's more so going, you've got a painful period. This is because what we're going to get into, you have high prostaglandins, or there might be something else underlying like endometriosis. What can you actually do about that now in your day? That's not necessarily as simplistic as just take this one external thing. It's really looking at you as a whole, which is what we do when we're looking at your 4 fundamentals, because they are all equal ingredients in how we can care for your body. So let's get into it with the common symptoms that you may be experiencing and why that might be coming out, aka what your body is trying to tell you. So when you have heavy periods, meaning you have to change your sanitary item more frequently than every 2 hours. You also might experience that your bleed component of your menstrual cycle is more than 7 days. So if that's happening, then you more than likely have heavy periods. Now, the reason for this is you have higher amounts of estrogen. You can also have internal growths within your uterus causing that, and estrogen grows those things. So we're thinking fibroids. So if this is you and you haven't been investigated, please go and do so. An internal ultrasound is a great first step with your doctor. Now, if you have light periods are where your bleed component is less than 3 days. When it's less than 3 days, it means you have low estrogen. The reasons for this can often be under eating and over exercising, and also a dysfunction in your thyroid. Now, why that might be happening, we need to look into the fundamentals, which we're going to get into in a second. When you're noticing large clots, so the clots that are larger than a 20-cent piece or a dime sort of size, if we're thinking American terms, then that's a sign of higher estrogen, typically lower progesterone. When you're noticing brown blood or spotting before your period, that is often a sign of low progesterone. If you're noticing spotting before your period and you're also noticing that you have smelly discharge, you have a recent new sexual partner, you're getting itchiness, you're getting just burning sensations, pain with sex, pain with urination, query, and STI. So this is something that you need to investigate as well with your medical doctor. If you're noticing that you get period pain, so moving on to period pain now, this is often that pain is produced by a chemical in the body called prostaglandins, which basically helps to contract and relax smooth muscle, which is your uterus, also your bowels and your stomach too. It also helps to produce the mucus that lines our stomach and protects it against stomach acid. Hence why, what's the first thing that a lot of people go, I've got period pain, what do? I take an anti-inflammatory. And what an anti-inflammatory does is blocks the production of those prostaglandins, which is great for pain. But what's the one thing that a lot of people say when you take an anti-inflammatory? Make sure you have it not on an empty stomach. Why? Because it also destroys, or it stops your body being able to create that protective mucal lining of your gut. So then the acid can actually wear it away. And that's where we get stomach ulcers as a potential side effect of anti-inflammatories. So it's really interesting to note there, when you have pain, it's likely that you have higher amounts of prostaglandins or inflammation in your body. Can also be a sign of endometriosis or adenomyosis, particularly if it's becoming debilitating to your life. But again, there are some women that have endometriosis and adenomyosis and don't experience pain. So pain is not synonymous with having endometriosis or adenomyosis. It is a symptom, a potential symptom of it though. The way you get diagnosed of those things is now they're bringing out specific ultrasounds, but the gold standard is by having a surgery where they actually literally make some incisions and view your internal organs to see whether they can burn or cut off that extra tissue. So we need to then stop and think, okay, well, why is that happening in the first place? Yes, that can be really helpful, but why is that happening in the first place? Finally, if you're noticing that you get PMS or PMDD, so you're noticing that you get fearful, more anxious, more depressed around that second half of your cycle, if we're taking into consideration that it's a 28-day cycle. So if you're noticing that, then often that's a sign that you have issues with your progesterone and also blood sugars, because blood sugars dictate what is going on with our moods a lot of the times, and we don't necessarily realize that. But a great way to think about that is, what happens when you give a toddler a lot of chocolate or a lot of sugar? The moods completely change. It's the same thing in our body, because what we've done is we've peaked and troughed their blood sugars. So the same thing happens in our body as well. We just sort of put it down to other things in our day. So when our blood sugars are erratic, or when our body isn't producing as much progesterone, we can often experience that PMS and PMDD like symptoms. But again, it's like, well, why is that happening and what can I do about it? Which we're going to get into finally after this last symptom of irregular cycles. So if you're noticing that your cycle is less than 21 days or more than 35 days in total, so not just the bleed, the actual from first day of bleed to the next first day of bleed, this is a sign that that your brain and your ovaries aren't communicating on a rhythmical basis. From a medical standpoint, they may diagnose you with polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's one of the common symptoms of that. There's other symptoms that go into that. But also we need to think, okay, well, your menstrual cycle is a cycle. So it's a rhythm. It has a rhythm to it. So when we think about that, this is telling me your sun rhythm and your day-night rhythm is off, because the sun is the master controller of everyone's rhythm. We rule everything by time. So when you can actually get the rhythm with the sunlight working well, often that really supports your menstrual cycle as well. We also look at the polycystic ovarian syndrome, we also need to look at all 4 of your fundamentals. So let's get into what we actually do about it. You know your body better than anyone. So why do your test results say everything's normal when you don't feel normal? Fatigue, bloating, period pain, mood swings, anxiety, these aren't random. Your body isn't broken, and these symptoms aren't just something you have to live with. They're signals that something deeper is going on. That's where Test Your Fundamentals comes in. Using a hair tissue mineral analysis, or HTMA, this test gives you a 3-month report card of how your body's been functioning, internally and externally. It shows you exactly what's happening beneath the surface, so you can stop guessing and start listening to your body in a different way. Unlike standard blood tests, HTMA reveals nutrient imbalances, heavy metal exposure, and deficiencies that could be impacting your energy, hormones, metabolism, and mental clarity. It doesn't just tell you what's happening, it tells you why. With Test Your Fundamentals, you'll get a personalized HTMA test, an easy to understand breakdown of your results, access to practitioner quality supplements tailored to your body's needs, and lifestyle recommendations to support all 4 of your fundamentals, so you can take action that actually makes a difference. If you've been told that everything looks fine, but you know something isn't right, it's time to dig deeper. Visit femalefundamentals.com.au to order your Test Your Fundamentals hair test today. There's also a link in the show notes. It's not what's wrong with me, it's what's my body trying to tell me. So when we have heavy periods, yes, that's high estrogen. So you will hear a lot of people talk about support your gut, support your liver, support with fiber, so then you can excrete and break down that estrogen, which absolutely, that is a component to it. But we also can think about, well, maybe it's stress, because when our body is going, well, do I want to reproduce or do I want to survive? If it's thinking I need to survive over reproduce, then our sex hormones get a bit skew-if. So we have less progesterone, more estrogen. That's when we can get heavy periods. Our gut function also gets affected. So our liver doesn't work as well. Our gut doesn't work as well. Estrogen builds up. It slows our thyroid down. There's all this cascade of events that happen. So what all of this is to say is that, yes, supporting your gut will 100% help with your heavy periods because it's helping with that detoxification. But we need to think, okay, well, why do I need to support my gut? What's happening with that? So when we continue to ask why, this is where it comes back to those 4 fundamentals. So it's not just about going, oh, I have heavy periods, so I need to take this one herb and then support my liver, and then that's going to fix it. Absolutely, it's going to help it. But what we want to do is come back to, can I give my cells fundamentally what they need? And when my cells have what they fundamentally need, then my liver cells know what to do, my gut cells know what to do, my brain cells know what to do, my ovary cells know what to do. Because at the end of the day, your body is the smartest, most amazing thing that has ever been created. So when we give it what it needs, it starts to function how it was designed to. So when it comes to the light periods, that's under functioning or a low level of estrogen. Often it can be because that thyroid is out of balance or we're under eating. So this is where that nutrient fundamental comes in, going, okay, am I actually consuming enough calories for myself? And am I getting enough of the quality and balance in my nutrients as well? Because sometimes if you're noticing that you're eating 0 carbs and you've completely gone full carnivore, yes, that can be helpful for one of your fundamentals, the blood sugar fundamental, but it's not necessarily it can't necessarily be helpful for everyone, because if you're starving yourself, that stops your thyroid from working as fast. It also slows down everything, because starvation is a stress. Your body goes, I don't want to reproduce. So then we don't form as much estrogen as well. Same thing with large clots, high estrogen, low progesterone. Why does that happen? We can be more stressed. We can not be in rhythm and cycle with the sun. So then we're not ovulating as much. So then we don't produce as much progesterone, which then creates higher estrogen. So all of this to say, I know I'm speaking really fast and going through this really quickly, but when we are noticing any of these different symptoms, the best thing you can do is support all 4 of your fundamentals. Yes, if you have pain, for instance, the period pain, prostaglandins are high, things like magnesium do really support that. But again, why is your magnesium low? Have you been under acute or chronic stress? If you're just supplementing with magnesium and the stress doesn't go away, you're not doing anything to support your nervous system, you're not taking the time out of your day to just go, you know what actually brings me joy and a sense of pleasure and play? I'm doing all these things to support my nervous system, but I've got no spaciousness, no pleasure, no play in my day. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be supporting your nervous system how it needs to. Sometimes we just need to treat our body like it's a toddler. Seriously. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh, but I'm doing all the things. And what I mean by all the things for your nervous system, fundamental, it's spaciousness, pleasure, and play. They are your best friends for your nervous system. So how can you bring more of that into your day? For your metabolism, best thing is moving your body, so activating your muscles, moving your physical body, and also aligning yourself to the rhythms of the sun. So sun is up in the morning, that's the first thing on your body. Midday, you're out in the sun for a period of time. End of the day, you see the sun set. And then you're eating in those times and of trying to limit the amount of times you're eating when it's dark. That's what it means to support your nervous system from a basic standpoint. We're going to get into that in other episodes. Then when it comes to nutrients, we're really thinking about, okay, have I cut out the stuff that we know isn't good for us, like all the processed foods that aren't necessarily actually food? Our body has to go, okay, what actually is this? It puts a lot of load on our body. Then, okay, am I eating proteins, fats, carbs, a good mix of different nutrients? Because all calories are not created the same. our body uses food as information and as a tool to be able to help our cells work. And are we hydrated enough? So that's really what we want to look at. Have you cut out the bad stuff, the alcohol, the processed foods, the smoking, the vaping, the chemicals, and have you got really good stuff in? Then the last thing is your blood sugars. So are you eating consistently throughout the day? So you're not going through binging and purging sort of cycles, so that your body knows that it's safe and it has a consistent source of food. And also you're still incorporating a quote unquote fasting window, because you're not eating when you can just use the sun. You're not eating when the sun is down, and you eat when the sun is up. So generally for most people, that's a really great way to incorporate fasting into your day without necessarily having to do a 3-day fast, 5-day fast, even though they can be helpful. It's not something that you go to as a first port of call when your fundamentals are off. So we want to support your fundamentals in that way. Some people do benefit from doing a ketogenic diet, because what that's doing is it's really helping your body flip into the mode of being able to burn fat, which should happen over nighttime for everyone, and then be able to flip back into burning glucose for fuel when we're actually eating food. But the thing is, a lot of us, that isn't actually happening naturally, so it's a lot harder to do so. So this is where we need to support all 4 of those fundamentals, because when we're not, and we're doing 1 or 2 of them, the other ones still create that knock-on effect. And when we're doing this, it's actually helping to balance all of these things. So what I was saying before, you've got, say, for instance, we take period pain. Someone might say, take magnesium for that because it helps with your prostaglandins. But that in and of itself, if you continue to do that, is sort of using magnesium like a Band-Aid. Because why is your body depleted in magnesium in the first place? Or why is your body storing the magnesium, push it into tissues as opposed to being in the blood? Or why is it being more in the blood and less in the tissues? So this is where we need to take into consideration all 4 of the fundamentals. And if you've listened to any of the episodes where I talk about hair testing, or seen anything that I speak about in hair testing, a lot of people take magnesium, but when the hair test comes back, magnesium is really high. And the reason for that is they've been under chronic stress. And when we're under chronic stress, our body then wants to hold on to magnesium and calcium to slow us down, and it dumps sodium, potassium. Sodium, potassium are our main stimulating minerals, which help to speed up things. But our body doesn't want us to speed up. It wants us to slow down. So if you're actually missing the signals and you've got the period pain, you're like, oh, I'll just take the magnesium. It's going to help me. That's the thing I need. But you're not doing anything to actually care for the rest of your fundamentals. You're not doing anything to care for your nervous system, or you feel like you are, but you actually really secretly, after listening to this, are going, oh yeah, I don't have any spaciousness in my day. And I don't know the last time I really fully, truly rested. And I have to make the most of my days by jam-packing it full of things. But now I'm starting to realize a full calendar is not the same as a full life. This is where we need to look at all 4 of the fundamentals. So when you care for your nervous system, the demand and the requirements for your magnesium can go down because your body's using it efficiently. And then all of a sudden your pain disappears. So it wasn't that the pain was, oh, I just needed some magnesium and that fixed it. Because if every single time you need magnesium and if you miss it, then you know you're going to get pain. That's when we know we're missing something, because supplements are supplemental. They're supplemental when we've cared for all 4 of the fundamentals. They're amazing. Don't get me wrong. I've used supplements. I recommend them to people, but they're not something that we rely on all the time. If we're relying on them all the time, it means that there's something off in one of the other fundamentals. It can be that your blood sugars are irregular and they're not well balanced, and it triggers inflammation. And when there's more inflammation, there's more pain. So we can see that all of these things are tied together. It's the same when we have heavy periods. If there's more inflammation, there'll be more blood that comes out. When we have higher levels of insulin, we usually have lower levels of progesterone, higher levels of estrogen. And what causes that? That creates heavy periods. And then we have heavy periods, and then we might lose more blood. And then we go through the process of going to the doctor, and they say, you've got heavy periods. What do we do? I'm going to give you a Mirena. I might give you uterine ablation, depending on what's going on in your life at the time, whether you want to have kids or not. Or I might cut out your uterus, depending on what else is going on. And then we still get stuck in this cycle because, yes, we've stopped the heavy bleeding, but why was the heavy bleeding there in the first place? remembering that the heavy bleeding is an amazing tool that our body is using to tell us something. So it all comes back to, let's just focus on the fundamentals, not necessarily get stuck down rabbit holes. Supplements can be beneficial. Targeting and personalizing how you look after your fundamentals is great. I do that a lot with hair testing, but you don't have to at the moment. You can just go, okay, I'm experiencing one of these symptoms. What am I going to do? Nervous system, spaciousness, play, and pleasure. They are your top priorities. Metabolism, sunlight, morning, midday, afternoon. You want to get that locked in, move your body in some way every day. That's going to be really helpful. In terms of your nutrients, you can get targeted specific ones that are going to help give you balance by doing a hair test. That's going to tell you specifically what personalized supplements will be beneficial for you. But in terms of, okay, have I actually just done the basic stuff that I can do now to help me? That's looking at, okay, am I smoking, vaping? Need to stop that. And again, I'm saying that very simply and easily, but those things will be causing more toxic load on your body, more harm to your liver. It's affecting the way that your cells are working, and it creates all of these knock-on effects that can create pain, heaviness in periods, poor liver function, poor thyroid function. They're not ideal. We're cutting out processed foods and we're eating the good stuff. And then the last thing is your blood sugars. So eating when the sun is up, not eating when the sun is down is a great thing to do. If you're eating enough in each meal, you should ideally not feel like you need to snack. You're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're having good amounts of protein and fat with a little bit of carbohydrates. That's just a general great rule for the vast majority of people. So if you're forgetting everything that I've said, which hopefully you haven't, but if you have, and it might be feeling a bit overwhelming and daunting, and you're like, okay, what do I do? The final thing I want to leave you with is, and I know I said this episode was going to go for 10 minutes, but it's actually almost gone for 20, is think of yourself like a toddler. A toddler cannot talk. A 2-year-old toddler can't communicate what it needs through words, but you do know what it needs through different symptoms and signals it's giving you. So what are the 5 things that a toddler will need if there's something, they're feeling irritable, they're screaming, they're crying, there's just something off with them? What are you going to do? Well, okay, do I need my nappy changed? So for you as an adult, have I done the basic things of grooming that I need? Have I gone to the toilet? Am I hydrating myself? Have I had a shower? Have I looked after, like that stuff? Have you done that? Second thing, do I need to move my body? Sometimes a child is just really irritated and it's like they just need to go outside for a run. They need to move their body some way. They need to be outside. That's the second thing. Have you done that today? Third thing, are they hungry? Maybe you're hungry. So trying that. Fourth thing, are you noticing that they're tired? Maybe they're tired. Last thing, do they need a hug? Do they need connection? So anytime you're noticing heavy periods, light periods, large clots, brown before your period comes, pain, PMS or PMDD, just run through those 5 things and ask yourself, have I done them? Or is there one of them that I haven't been doing for quite a long time? Am I actually hungry? Have I been nourishing myself well? Do I need to go to the toilet or clean myself up? Have you been taking care of your basic needs? Your basic hygiene, your basic, oh my gosh, no, I've been getting stuck at the laptop answering my questions and I forgot that I needed to go to the toilet 2 hours ago. Have you been doing that? Have you been able to connect with people that you love? Have you had physical contact, physical touch, love and affection? Have you been able to go outside and move your body? So these are the things that we can ask ourselves when these symptoms start to come about, because sometimes we make it really complex when it doesn't actually really need to be. And when we care for these, our symptoms don't need to get louder and louder and louder. So if you've loved this episode, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time for another solo episode. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to think of the woman in your life who might need this too. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling exhausted, a sister searching for answers to chronic symptoms, or someone who just needs the reminder that feeling good in her body is her natural baseline. And if you haven't already, subscribing is the best way to spread this message and make sure you keep getting the answers and resources you need. Together, we're redefining how women connect with their bodies. And I'm so grateful to have you as part of this community. So, I invite you to get curious with me. If your body isn't the problem, it's the solution, what do you think your body's trying to tell you today? Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.